Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we'll start the next chapter that is called as basic element of organizing. Before a midterm, we have discussed up till planning, the basic elements of planning and what are the process of decision making and all those. So after that, after we have done with the planning, the next step is that we have to organize the activities of the organization. And what is that? Because you know that when organization has different resources like human resource, as physical resources, financial resources, information resources, so they have to arrange all these resources, and that's why we called it organizing. So in organizing, what you have to do is you have to assign a task to the people. You have to organize each and every activity of the organization. You have to decide about the span of control, that how much you how much subordinate the one manager should have, and how much authority you should give to the people or managers, and how the resources are being divided among the people, and how you will divide the total task of the organization into smaller pieces, and how much how much authority you will give to the people which are working in the organization. So one by one we will be discussing each and every element of organizing, because organizing is quite a hectic job. You have to prepare the whole organization structure of the organization, because each and every strategy the organization make is that has to be incorporated through organizing through the organization structure, and it has to be done in a very careful and very efficient manner. So the elements of organizing. The organizing is actually deciding how to best group organizational activity and resources. That means that how we will divide different activities of the organization into different groups, or assign these activities to different people. Not only that, how we will equip the people with the resources already we have. So this is the basic essence of organizing, and it's something very much important. So organization structure is the when we once we say that organization structure, so organization structure is the outcome of our organizing activities, and there are six main building blocks of organization structure. The first one is job designing. Job designing is are actually related to those activities in which you will divide the activities of the organization into specific jobs, and what are the activities which should be performed in that different kinds of jobs. So after that, the second chain thing is departmentalization. Departmentalization is that we'll group the different activities into different departments, and they have to and the similar activities in one department, and so on. Different departments have different activities, and within that department those activities are very similar. As for example, you have accounting department, so all the activities would be performed under the accounting department. Then we have the finance department, so and then we have a human resource department. All the activities of the human resource are being dealt in the human resource department, and so on. We perform these activities on that. The third thing is reporting relationship. Reporting relationship is actually the hierarchy of authority, or hierarchy of the designation of managers to managers, and designation of different activities to different managers, and deciding about that how much managers you should, how much subordinate a manager should have, and how many people should be under one manager, depending upon the nature of activities being performed, the nature of the scenarios they are facing, the nature of the people who are under the certain command. So you have to decide about that. Then fourth thing is distribution of authority. It's something very much important, because there are many activities in which the quick decisions are required, and there are certain activities in which the upper level should be involved, and so on. So the depending upon that what type of activities are done in certain departments or certain in certain areas, and in which scenarios, in which environment the company is working, they have to decide about the centralized or decentralized of the authority. Centralized means that all the authority would be under the upper corporate level, and of if we talk about decentralization, so decentralization means that many authorities are designated to different lower level staff, and it is authorities are decentralized. So the coordinate the fifth thing is your coordination. Fifth building block is your coordination. Once you have divided the activities into different departments, the coordination is very much important, because the organization is working as a whole. It's and no doubt you have different departments, but the ultimate goal of organization is one, because organization is working for its vision. So that's why it's very important that you have to coordinate different activities of the organization. And last thing is differentiation. Differentiation is associated with line and staff authority. That means that there are certain people who comes under the line authority, and the certain people who are under the staff. And we will discuss these things later in the once we will discuss these things into the detail. First element of your organizing is job designing. And as we already discussed, that job designing is the identifying that different jobs which have to be different activities which have to be performed in the organization. So depending upon the nature of company you have, depending upon the nature of work you have to perform, and depending upon the market you are working, so you have to divide the different activities of the organization into different jobs, and you have to design those jobs. So in this case, if you look at the picture, the determination or the for example, a mechanist at Caterpillar. And what is a Caterpillar? Caterpillar is the company which manufacture the bulldozers and the actually heavy equipment for road building and etc. So the mechanist at Caterpillar, what is his job? That what machine has to operate it, he has to see that what machine, what are different the machines which are in the organization, of what these machines are to be operated, and how they operate that machine, and what are the performance standards which are expected by these machines. So these are the main three jobs which have to be performed by the mechanist at the Caterpillar. But for the manager, the activities are different, because his task is to manage different activities. So the manager at Caterpillar has to decide that what are the decision making responsibilities. That means that on what areas they have to make decision, while that are related to the finance, what are they related to different other things. And so depending upon that what kind of management he is doing, they have to take decisions. So he has decision making responsibilities. They have to see that what are his goals, and because obviously once he is a manager, he has to perform different tasks. So what is the identifying goal that he has to perform, and what are the expectation of the upper management from him, and he has to see establishing appropriate indicator of success. Obviously they have to make here their higher ups, or the people who are up at the upper level, and they have to show their performance. Not only they have to take decision, but those decisions which are not only efficient but effective as well. So the manager has to perform all the Caterpillar has to perform all those activities. Another aspect of job designing is job specialization. Job specialization is the concept of the division of labor. In this case, when we talk about job specialization, the job specialization has certain benefits, certain limitations, and there are certain alternatives which are actually can be used in place of this specialization. So, job designing, as we have discussed, that what is the specialization. So the degree to which the overall task of the organization is broken down and divided into smaller components. And this is a concept which was given by Adam Smith, and which is called as division of labor, that we can divide the total task into smaller activities, and those activities are performed by the people repeatedly, so that can increase their efficiency. So taking the example of a nail, making a nail. So when how many tasks that is make to a nail, to make a nail, that is 18. There are 18 tasks for making a nail. And how many nails can one worker make in a day if she or she is doing all the tasks? So or when there are 18 tasks in making a nail, and each employer, each worker is performing all these 18 tasks, so he is able to make 20 nails in a day. On the other hand, they will have you if you have 20 workers, so the total 20 workers can make 400 nails. Whereas if we take the other aspect, in which we can say that, first of all, if we come to the specialization, and we assign each 18 tasks to each individual worker, so obviously there are 18 steps in making a nail. But when how many nails can one worker process in a day if she is specialized in one task? That is 5,000. If the one person is specialized in only one task, it is possible that he can make he can make 500 times that task, 5,000 times that task, and the total 20 workers can make 1 lakh nails in a day. So this is the positive outcome of specialization. But so the Adam Smith example of job specialization, the example we have discussed in the previous slide, that making a nail requires 18 tasks. One worker doing all 18 tasks might make 20 nails in a day, and 20 workers can make 400 nails. But when specialization, 20 workers can make 1 lakh pins a day, or a nail a day, and one worker can make 5,000 pins. So 20 pins was 5 lakh pins, to the 5,000 pins per worker. So that means that this is the positive outcome of specialization. There are certain benefits and limitations associated with specialization. And what are the benefits associated with specialization? The first benefit is that if the person is doing a same task again and again, so he become very much efficient in doing that task. He'll find that what type of specific movement can increase its output, and what are the errors which he is doing previously, and how he can eliminate different weaknesses in his work. So he become more proficient and skillful in doing that task. Secondly, the task transfer time is very low, because there is the person is doing the same work, so there is no switching off from one task to another task, because he is doing the same task, so he is doing again and again. And the third thing is their replacement cost is also very low, because he is become very much efficient, and he can and obviously when any worker has not come, or any worker is not there, there is only the deficiency of the specific task, not the whole task. So there is no very low training cost of specialization. The second, the limitation associated with specialization is that because the person is doing one task, and the whole day he is doing the same task, so he become very bored, and he become very dissatisfied, because there is very low sense of achievement in that, because he is doing one task, and the whole day he is engaged in that task. So this boredom and dissatisfaction will leads to him to absentee and poor quality, and he's doing the tasks not very with not in very enthusiasm, so the performance is not very good. And anticipated benefit do not always occur. Obviously the specialization is there to increase the efficiency of the thing, and if it leads to boredom, or if it leads to dissatisfaction, and the person is not giving the good quality, so we can say that we cannot get the anticipated benefit which we have expected with the so when specialization doesn't work, as we have said, that there are certain limitation associated with specialization. So we have different alternative associated with specialization. You can say that we cannot, rather than going for specialization, we can have other option that will increase the performance of our employees. There are almost five alternatives to specialization. First one is job rotation. Second one is job enlargement. Third one is job enrichment, and fourth one is job characteristic approach, and the fifth one is work teams. So we can see that by discussing one by one, we can have a good view of all these alternative to specialization. The first alternative to specialization is job rotation. Job rotation, or simply one can say that the job the person if we are saying that specialization give boredom, so rather than giving the person the same task every day, what we'll do is we'll alternatively give him different task each day, so it will decrease the boredom aspect of the of specialization and increase the performance of the employee. So it involves systematically moving from employee from one job to another. So he's not doing the same task every day, but what you have did is that you are switching his tasks again daily, on the daily basis, or if you have daily basis or weekly basis or monthly basis, whatever the specific areas in he's working. So depending upon that, how you can rotate that job, you can this. For example, if we talk about a worker, so on Monday he can unload truck. On Tuesday he can carry inventory to the storage or to the warehouse, or on the Wednesday he can verify invoices. He cannot do the laborer work, he can verify the invoices. On Thursday he can pull inventory from the storage to any other place, or on Friday he can load truck. So in this case, not in this case you are switching his job. You are not giving him the same task each day, but what you are doing is you are switching his task. So he had the flavor of doing many tasks, so he can have he can decrease the boredom aspect which he has when he is doing his specialization, or he is doing the same task the same day. But when we look into the research or look into the data, this approach is not very successful, and this cannot increase the motivation of the employee, because as job do not change, he's doing if he's doing unload on truck on Monday, so each Monday he is doing the same task. So moving one job to another job and doing the alternative job each day is not very successful to alternate specialization. Second alternative to specialization is job enlargement. So it means the scope of job through extending the range of job duties and responsibilities generally within the same level and it involves combining various activity at the same level in the organization and adding them to existing job. So when we see a dental hygienist job, it could be enlarged by giving him additional task of dental cleaning, pulling patients' file, filling them, and cleaning and storing the instrument. The manager assumes that by doing these things, they can increase the sense of motivation of their employees. But when you look into the after effects of that, or this kind of activity increase the training cost of the employees, because if you are assigning them additional tasks, you have to train them for to doing all these tasks, and if you are giving them more tasks, so it might be possible that the employee can demand for higher pay, because that previous time he is doing less activities, and now you have given them more tasks, so they can demand additional salaries or pays. But additionally, the same problem exists, that the tasks would be still boring and it has a routine, because if you have given him additional tasks, so you have to do all these tasks again and again, and you have to perform all these tasks. So it has only increased his burden, but it has not given him the sense of achievement. So this alternative is also not very good, while if we compare it with specialization. This is the third alternative to job specialization. It is called as job enrichment. And what is job enrichment? It is actually a common motivational technique which is used by the organization to give employee greater satisfaction in his work. It means giving an employee an additional responsibilities previously reserved for his manager or other high-ranking position. That means that he has to do the job of his manager. So this type of activities will give him the motivation, and he will be more willingly doing his work. So it increase the job depth. Then it will his job a job will vertically expand, and he had the additional responsibility of planning and evaluating his activities. Hence worker is not allowed to complete the activity with more freedom, independent and responsibilities. Obviously, if you are giving them more activities, and you are increasing his activities, and you are giving them his giving them more responsibilities and more planning and evaluating responsibilities, but you cannot give him the full freedom, because at the same time he is the subordinate. For example, if we take the example of dental hygienist, in addition to dental cleaning, he could schedule appointments and follow up with his clients. So this is the better alternative specialization, and it is the type of specialization alternative in which the manager give more authority or delegate more authority to his subordinate. Fourth alternative to job specialization is job characteristic approach, which is derived from Hackman and Oldham's job characteristic models, which had given 5 principles of job characteristics which can increase the motivation level or the performance of the employees. So these five characteristics include skill variety, task significance, autonomy, and feedback. So first of all, the skill variety. That means that the if we give the person or the subordinate the number of tasks, so he had variety of skills variety of skills which have to be improved. So the more tasks we give to the people, or give to the subordinate, the better the better that is, and it will increase the motivational level and the performance of that employee. Task identity means that the extent to which the worker does a complete or identifiable portion of the total job. That means that if he had completed that work in a well specified time, and if he had done a certain task in a very good way, or he have achieved the target, so if he has done a significant portion of that task, so he would be obviously appreciated, so it will obviously increase his motivational level. Task significance is the important of that task, that you have given a very key task to the employee. So if he knows that the success of that task will leads to the success of the organization, so obviously he would be noticed by the higher ups, and that will increase his motivational level, and he have a self prestige that he was being trusted, and he had a very well identifiable or well perceived job. So fourth thing is autonomy. The degree to which you will give the autonomy, that means that he had the freedom to control the workers, he have the freedom to control the timing of the work, if he have the control over the worker, and if he had the control to do the work by in his own way, so it will also increase the motivational level of the employee, and obviously it will lead to the higher performance of that employee. So feedback means the fifth aspect of job characteristic model is the feedback. Feedback means that the extent to which the worker knows how well the job is being performed. So that feedback can be given by the manager himself, or that there are certain aspects which will help them to ascertain whether he is doing good or bad. So these five characteristic model will help to increase and become the alternative to specialization, and increase the performance of the employee, and it will help to do the activities or do the all the tasks of the organization in a better way if we apply this model into the organization. Fifth alternative to job specialization is work teams. Work teams, as the name suggests, that majority of work would be done by the team of people who have the people with certain specialization, and they can work in a very well coordinated and in a very well fashions, and they will work together and to perform the activities of the organization. As when we talk about work teams, it allows an entire group to design the work system for interrelated set of activities. So work team is the type of activity or type of the job organization or type of the job designing in which the team spirit is increased, and the people have a very good well or well cooperative environment in which they can work in a very good fashion. If we talk about in a very typical organization, when there is assembly line system, the work flows from work to one worker to another worker, and each worker has to do a specific job. So it will create rather a very boredom, because in this case everyone is engaged in working for in working themselves, and they are doing their specific task, and they are not coordinating with each other. But when you talk about work teams, so they are groups of people. They have autonomy with them. They decide that how to do the work, what would be the timing of the work, and how they will different tasks is allocated to each person. For example, the work team assigns specific tasks to members, monitor and controls them, its own performance, and has autonomy over work schedules. Obviously they have to do the work themselves, so they know how to manage the work. They can give relaxation to each member, or the one person can do the task of the other at certain times. So this will increase a very good corporate culture in the organization. And obviously when you have a good corporate culture in the organization, it also leads to a very good atmosphere, and it will also increase the motivational level and enhance the overall performance of the organization. Now moving on to the second big building block of organization structure, that is departmentalization. As the name suggests, that we are talking about departments. That means that we are dividing the whole organization into different departments. So departmentalization is the process of grouping jobs according to some logical arrangement. And this logical arrangement, when we say grouping jobs, that means that we are separating similar jobs and similar jobs to in similar and grouping them into specific groups. And logical arrangement means that we have to decide that how we can arrange these activities, how we can make these departments, depending upon the nature of the environment you have, depending upon the customer you have, depending upon the nature of tasks you have to perform in the organization. So this logical arrangement depends upon different factors. So this is the second building blocks of the organization structure, which suggests that you have to divide the total task of the organization, the activities of the organization, into different department. And it definitely depend upon the nature of your work, nature of your business, nature of the environment you have, nature of the outcome or the product you have, nature of the customer you have. So based upon that, you have to divide your organization. Then rationale for departmentalization: as organizational growth exceeds the owner's manager capacity to personally supervise all the organization. That means that when you have start your business, obviously whenever there is start of the business, it actually majority of times, we're not talking always, but majority of time you cannot start your business on a very large scale. The majority of the organization develops with the passage of time, and once these organization develops, the owner has to increase the people, the number of resources he have, and when time comes that it is unable for him to supervise or coordinate all the activities of the organization. So at that time it becomes compulsory for the managers, for the organization at the corporate level or the owner manager, to divide the organization into different departments. Then in that case, additional managers are employed and assigned specific employees to supervise. And obviously the same case that you have to see the logical manner that what type of activities you have to perform, what type of customers you have, what type of products you have to do, what type of manufacturing activities you have to do. So depending upon all these activities, then you have to decide that how you can make different department in the organization. There are four common bases of departmentalization. The first one is functional departmentalization. Functional departmentalization is the type of departmentalization in which the organization divide its activity depending upon different functions performed by different areas, or performed by different people, or say. So for example, in functional departmental, the organization divides its activity depending upon they are performing accounting activities, so activities, finance department, they have a marketing department, they have human resource department. So this is called as functional departmentalization. Second one is product departmentalization. Product departmentalization is a developing of different department. If you are a manufacturing concern, so you can divide the manufacturing activities of different products into different departments. Or in another case, if you are any other concern, service rendering business or serve any other business, so you will divide different services into different departments. The third departmentalization is your customer departmentalization, that depending upon the nature of the customer you have, you can divide your whole organizational activity into depending upon the customer you have. So you can make the organization activity make the department related to your customers. Or same is the case with location departmentalization, which is the fourth basis of departmentalization, that you will the organization make different department into different location in order to attract customer, in order to attract different people for their activities. Marketing, manufacturing, finance, and finance. So this is called as functional departmentalization. So the Apex Computer Department has manufacturing, finance, marketing department. So there are certain advantages and disadvantages associated with this kind of departmentalization. So first advantage is experts, because you have divide the organization according to the function they have to perform. So they have experts in that, because each department is equipped with a certain experts of that field. So you have experts with that, and supervision is facilitated as an individual manager needs to be familiar with only a narrow set of skills. Because if you have developed a finance department, so you have people of finance over there, and they are actually associated with that particular finance task. So supervision is very facilitated, because the upper managers are already have experience, they have the education experience required to do that job. So supervision is very facilitated, and coordination of activities are also very good, because everyone knows the task of each other, and they can recognize the difficulties they face, so they can easily coordinate with each other. And because it's a very narrow space, so they can easily coordinate with each other in each department. But there are certain disadvantages associated with this functional department, because you can say that this kind of department is very slow and bureaucratic, because as the organization grows, so is the case with its activities. And when we have a large organization which is being only organized under functional departmentalization, so that thing cannot be easily coordinated. So of narrow focus hai, because if you have different functional departments and each and every department work for their own self, they cannot see the organization as a whole, because everyone is very much indulged there in their own departments, and so there is a very lack of coordination between different departments. So that's also very much important, that we have to consider this disadvantage, that while you are dividing your organization into different functional departments, so you have to see that they could not lose the whole sight of the whole organization. So accountability is also very difficult because monitor the failure reason, because whenever there is a failure, each department tries to blame the other department, and so nobody want to take responsibility of their responsibility. So the failure is there, and if their failure is there, so nobody is there to claim responsibility of any good work, whether any department is have done any inefficiency, but due to the different individual departmental focus, this problem still prevails. The second departmental basis is your product departmentalization. So as we have studied earlier, that this is the type of departmentalization in which the activities are divided related to the products. So this is the approach which is being adopted by the large organizations which have many diverse activities, and they are indulged in production of different type of products, or in different type of geography, different type of activities. So they group the activities around certain products or product groups. For example, the Apex computer example can be seen that they have two type of product, that is computer software, computers hardwares, and computer software. So they have divided the whole organization activity into two departments, computers and software. There are the certain advantages and disadvantages associated with this kind of departmentalization. First of all, the first advantage associated with this kind of departmentalization is that as the activities of a similar product are being dealt in a same department, so all the activities are associated, and there is well integration between within the department, and all the activities are very integrated and well coordinated in the department. And there is speedy in decision making, there is effective decision making, because everyone is expert in the production and the manufacturing, or performing, if you are a service rendering business. In the same, because you are performing the same service, so you are very much efficient, and if at any point in time, if you want to take decision, or if you want to take certain type of do activities, you can do it, because you have certain knowledge of that certain products. So performance assessment is also very good, because everyone knows the outcome of that thing, everyone knows the product it very well, because all the activities are done under the same department. That's why they can improve the performance, and the performance can be assessed very easily, and everybody know that who is accountable for certain outcome, so it can be done very easily. But if we look at the disadvantages, the same kind of disadvantages also there, which is there in the functional department, because you have divided the whole organization is based upon the products. So everyone is emphasized to increase the product its products, and the focus of the whole organization is also goes into the dark, and they will not focus on the organization as a whole, but they are focusing their own products. So this is the main disadvantage. And administration cost is also increased, because every product has had its separate functional departments. Every product, because you have divided the organization based upon their products, so these products have to have their functional managers and functional areas and functional departments. So the administration cost also increase. So these are the two basic disadvantages associated with product departmentalization. The third type of departmentalization is customer departmentalization. In this kind of departmentalization, the activities of the organization is divided according to different customers on customer groups. So if the major example is that if you look into a departmental store or a bank in which you will go for lending or investing money, so they have different department for different customer. For business customer, or consumers, consumer banking, for consumer banking or mortgage and agricultural loans, so they have different desks or different departments to deal with a different type of customer. The same example can be seen in the Apex hierarchy, in which they have two different departments. One is for industrial sales, and second one is their consumer sales. But the same, there are certain advantages and disadvantages associated with this kind of departmentalization. For example, the main advantage of this kind of departmentalization is that you have skilled specialized specialists which can deal with unique customer or customer group. For example, if we look into the example of the banks, so when there are people who are associated with or came to get agricultural loans, majority of people who come from them, they use local language like Pashto, like Hindko. So you have to have the people which can speak that kind of language in order to deal with this kind of these kind of customer. So this is the main advantage associated with this kind of departmentalization. But disadvantages is there, which will already been discussed in different kind of the previous two bases, is that this kind of departmentalization also increase the administrative cost, because for different customer you have to hire different managers or different people. So a large administrative staff is needed to integrate activities of various departments. So this is the third kind of basis for department. The fourth and last basis of departmentalization is location departmentalization, and as the name suggests, that this kind of departmentalization is activity in which the organization divide this whole activity based upon different geographical sites or areas. If the example of Apex Computers says that they have two plants in Dallas and in Chicago, manufacturing these branches of Apex Computers, and in consumer sales group they have 5 sales territories corresponding to different regions of US. So in order to attract customer from different specific location, you can divide your organization activities into different department based upon their location. But there are also advantages and disadvantages associated with this kind of departmentalization. And the one is, as you are targeting certain customer in certain location, so the organization, yeah, the companies have quick response to these customer. You can entertain their demands and entertain their wants more easily or rapidly, or you can take their demands to the organization and quickly respond to that. Or but the same case is that if you are making departments in different location, and or different activities are being performed in different location, so it would increase, not only decrease the coordination activities of the organization, but it also increase the administrative cost of the organization, because the departments are scattered on different locations. Because for example, if you have different branches, one is in Peshawar, the other one is Nushaira, the other one is in Mardan, Kohat. So there are these departments are at a different location. So you have to track these all the departments, and you have to have the monitored activities of all these departments. So it has certain administrative cost, and you have to bear that cost. So this is another advantage associated with location departmentalization.